Thank you for being here. So I've just briefed the United Nations Security Council on the humanitarian catastrophe caused by the war in Sudan. The level of hunger, forced displacement and humanitarian need are beyond any other crisis on the international agenda. Siege tactics, the obstruction of humanitarian aid and direct attacks on civilians are causing unconscionable harm. This truly is a war on people without regard for civilian lives. Médecins Sans Frontières is an independent organization that provides medical care in 11 of Sudan's states on both sides of the conflict and according to humanitarian principles. Our message today to the Council is that the war in Sudan cannot continue to be waged with a shameless disregard for civilian lives. Humanitarian aid must not be obstructed by the warring parties, civilians must not be attacked and killed time and time again, and life-saving international aid must be provided in sufficient quantities and with sufficient resolve to reach people in the midst of this devastating conflict. This war has been waged for nearly 2 years, yet the international response has been negligible. The stated commitments by all sides to protect civilians have proven to be empty words on many occasions. I witnessed this myself on the 1st of February after the shelling of the market, the Shabin market in Omdurman in Khartoum by the Rapid Support Forces. The emergency department of Al Now Hospital, which Médecins Sans Frontières supports, struggled to care for the wave after wave of catastrophically injured men, women and children. That same week, the Sudanese armed forces bombed a peanut factory and civilian neighborhoods in South Darfur, overwhelming the Nyala teaching hospital with casualties. Our teams are warning of alarming levels of malnutrition in many areas, while infectious and vaccine-preventable diseases are rising. The coming rainy season underlines the urgency of ensuring that people in Sudan receive food and medical supplies in the coming weeks, before roads become impassable and levels of hunger rise further. I am here to underline the urgency for everybody with the influence in the war of Sudan to ensure that this stops.
I wanted to ask you about, first of all, the US cuts to aid. What kind of impact has that had on the sort of overall response within Sudan? And, are there enough aid agencies, I guess, working in Sudan at the moment, given the problems that you raised in the Council?
Well, there wasn't enough aid agencies working in Sudan before these cuts came into play, and I think we can only assume that the cuts are going to further damage the humanitarian situation in Sudan. What we have seen ourselves is organizations having to stop services. Water trucking in Nyala is one example, also primary healthcare services in Nyala. When I was in Khartoum, I spoke to the authorities there, and they told me that in the 2 days before we met, they'd had 5 organizations telling them that they would have to stop activities in the Khartoum area alone.
Thank you.
Edith Lederer from the Associated Press. Your remarks were very hard-hitting at the Security Council for passing resolutions without doing anything to ensure that they were implemented. What reaction, if any, did you hear from member states during the Council meeting?
Well, I heard a variety of reactions. I think the message that we're trying to get across is that there needs to be an agreement to allow the uninhibited and free flow of humanitarian assistance in all areas of Sudan. And I think some heard that. At the same time, I heard some statements which I hope are not hollow statements and actually be translated into action, because it's all right talking about resolve and agreements here. It's what matters, it's what happens on the ground that really matters. So I heard some positive comments, and I hope they're translated into something practical, which is what we're really suggesting today.
Hi, it's Margaret Bashir with Voice of America. Mr. Lockyer, you said the international response has been almost negligible. Why do you think the world is not paying more attention to Sudan? Why aren't they helping 30 million people who are going hungry and in need, and not putting more pressure on the warring parties to stop?
Yeah, and the response really has needed a massive scale up since the start of this crisis. There are some really brave organizations and brave humanitarian workers who are struggling amidst both the bureaucratic impediments, but also the security restrictions that are in place. So there are people trying, but at a system-wide level, we're failing to be able to provide even the basics across large parts of Sudan. I don't know why there's not more media attention on Sudan. For me, it should be on the headlines every day of the week. The situation is so catastrophic for millions of people. It should be something that is on all of our consciences on a daily basis.
I have a follow-up question on what you said before, the fact that many countries, because you're talking about the importance to do something, but yet what they are saying doesn't translate into actions, including because the very what minister of why do you think there is no real action happening and something about the
I don't think I made a comment on that precisely. I mean, what we're saying is that there needs to be a clear agreement to allow the flow of humanitarian assistance to come in. There needs to be, I think, the United Nations Secretary General giving a full mandate to UN agencies to have full presence in Darfur and to be negotiating that very clearly with the authorities in Sudan. It's imperative that we not only scale up the supplies that come in, because humanitarian assistance is much more than trucks and shipments of goods. It's also about having workers, in our case, medical workers, doctors and nurses on the ground to be able to treat people directly and support the local Sudanese health workers who are trying to carry out medical activities across the whole of Sudan.
One final question, please.
Yes, Stefano Vaccara, New York Intel Press. President Trump has been saying about other conflicts that he wants peace, he wants the carnage to stop, the killing to stop. What is your message for the White House, for President Trump, to give attention to Sudan?
I think the message is the same as the message that we've been giving today. We need a dramatic and urgent scale-up of humanitarian assistance. We need this war to follow the international humanitarian law. Every war has rules, and we expect that civilians are protected and spared from the horrors that we've been seeing in Sudan over the last 2 years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.